everybody. Welcome back for another episode of The Man Strikes. My name is JJ.
And I'm Sarah.
And we're here to take a break and get away from all that stuff that has a point. That's not what it usually is. What do I always say?
I don't know.
Are you ready to approach the news desk?
Yes.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. All right. So my first story, AI robots could play a future role as companions in care homes.
Okay.
It says, so Nadine is a social robot powered by artificial intelligence with human-like gestures and expressions, and she could have an important role to play in tending to the sick and elderly, according to the professor who helped invent it. So the woman who is the robot actually who helped invent it is actually named Nadia. So same as the robot. Says that it could be more effective than human
she
carers.
named the robot after herself.
And it's designed to look like her. Like she designed it to look like her with the same name. So anyway, so it says Nadine has 24 hours a day. Others often have no time. So she was speaking at a conference organized by International Telecommunication Union in Geneva to make a case for AI robots helping to reach global goals such as health. So,
boy, I don't know. I don't like it. I just like.
It's interesting.
It's a fascinating thing. Do you remember those little robot seals, like the little stuffed animal robots that like move their necks?
Yeah, they talk about that a little bit in this article too.
Yeah, they're like cuddle companions or whatever.
Yeah, for people who have dementia.
Right, and apparently they're extremely successful. People love having them. It makes them feel better that they've got a little buddy or whatever. But I guess it's just like I'm all for robots that can make life easier and can help us, in our day-to-day work, but not so much excited about robots that get us out of our human responsibilities to each other.
Right. Like it's like a clever sidestepping. It's like, well, we don't have the time to take care of people, but this robot can, because it has all the time in the world. Apparently it demonstrated its conversational skills. It showed how it could talk, sing, and play bingo with residents in a Singapore nursing home 3 years ago.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
So it's been around for a while.
Yeah, that's the thing.
The robot said, "It is a great experience, and I enjoy interacting with the elderly and helping them with their needs. I believe robots can be a great asset in providing care and assistance to vulnerable people." This is what the robot said.
Yeah, yes, of course. I believe that I'm good. Okay,
it's
robot.
Weird. I don't know. It's interesting.
I just worry that it's going to even further give people an excuse to not
have to,
grandparents.
Well, or not have to even where does it stop? Like, honestly,
I made this robot that will help parent your children, or I made this robot that will help teach them in school. And I made this robot
that's a nurse. Like,
yeah, why bother?
Why would you bother to have humans in those roles when a robot could do it? It's like, I don't know. It's kind of, I just thought it was weird because I was like, well, and the saddest part is like, especially elderly people with dementia who maybe have memory loss or, don't have great vision or anything. They're not necessarily going to know the difference, whether it's an AI or a.
Yeah, if you make it look super.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is what the robot looks like.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. That's very. It looks
human. Like a person,
it kind
right?
Of feels scary, but yeah.
Yeah, the eyes are a little shifty, but it just, I don't know. I think it's
very human. It has like human hair.
It does. Yeah, it's dressed like a person.
I visualized
like a metal robot.
Yeah, kind of the iRobot robot.
Oh,
you know, that was like humanoid, but very obviously a robot.
Yeah,
but
she looks like a person.
I don't know.
I think it's.
I'm not usually anti-tech. Like usually when there's new technology, I'm like, yeah, awesome. But
I don't know. I don't care that much about new tech, so I'm kind of like, I just think it's weird.
Yeah, well, and I guess the nursing home culture, I actually wish we would go more the other way, right? Put people back in your physical homes and make them an integrated part of your everyday life. Now, I understand there are moments when a nursing home is necessary because physically you are not able to care for someone, especially when it's an elderly person who's living with another elderly person. Mm-hmm. Like my husband needs help and I am not physically strong enough to help him out of the bed or whatever.
Or it's someone who, depending on their condition, could be harmful to themselves or others. Like if it's someone who...
Yes. It is good to have those places, but even then I'm a big supporter of like you got to go visit them as much as possible. I mean, in the church, we have a ton of ministries that go and visit people. And most of the time, the members of the church have a support network. People who visit them even a couple times a week, at least. But I have done services where there are people who are like, my kids dump me in here and they never come visit. I haven't seen a family member in years. And it can be like really sad. And so I don't know, my radar for like, hey, this will let humans get out of being human to each other.
Is even more.
It bothers me. Oh, it's fascinating though. I can't believe we're so far advanced that oh boy. And I'm assuming that the new AI stuff that's come out is only going to make that even better,
Probably.
Oh man. All right, so now we have been doing this podcast for over a year. We do these crazy stories every week after week. We go and we scour the internet for crazy stories, and often we find bizarre stories. A lot of times it's like something funny that an animal did, or a lottery winner, or like Florida man, and like these are the normal bread and butter of weird internet stories.
Right.
But now I have a story that is coming to us from like the mainstream political realm.
Okay.
And it is just one of the craziest stories as I read. Like, I can't believe it's a real story, right?
Okay.
It doesn't feel like it should even be covered. So a little backdrop, I had to look some of this up because I did not know this. There's a guy named Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Yeah.
Okay, so he is the nephew of the guy who was president. Right?
Yeah.
He's a Kennedy, but he is running against Joe Biden as a Democratic nominee. And apparently he traffics heavily in conspiracy theory type things, but he's over on the Democratic side. And so this article says, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. press dinner explodes in war of words and farting. Did you hear about this?
I did hear about it.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Page 6 reports that there's a press dinner to produce RFK Jr.'s presidential candidate descended into a foul bout of screaming and polemic farting on Tuesday night. The White House hopeful. Let's just repeat that. The White House hopeful attended the affair at Tony's on the Upper East Side, no doubt, hoping to impress on the ladies and gentlemen of the Fourth Estate his worthiness to sit at the very same Oval Office desk that is once occupied by his uncle. But a shouting match over climate change broke out between two boisterous old men, sending the evening down an extremely unfortunate path. This article also was like written by a guy who's like, I'm better than this to be writing this article. But the gaseous exchange to which page 6 bore reluctant witness. Page 6 is the website.
Oh, okay.
Began after a guest asked Kennedy, founder of the ecological organization Waterkeeper Alliance, about the environment. Somebody asked him about the environment, and it seems that the mere inquiry was enough to set off apparent drunk gossip columnist turned flack Doug Decker, the host of the event, who became enraged and screamed at the top of his lungs, "The climate hoax!" Meanwhile, octogenarian art critic Anthony Hayden Guest, who appeared to have been sleeping happily for most of the dinner, it's like this old guy sitting there sleeping at the table, was roused by the abrupt rumpus. So these two old guys, one guy screams the hoax,
and the other guy is like no.
wakes up and starts contributing. He suddenly opened his eyes and denounced his longtime pal Deckert, calling him a miserable blob. "Shut up," implored Hayden Guest. Hayden Guest tells us he was not asleep. "I was just thinking," he told us, which is like the most grandpa answer I have ever.
Yeah, I just resting my eyes.
I was just resting my eyes. And he says he was the one who asked the question about the environment. Decker continued to scream wildly about climate change, about this scam, while Hayden Guest peppered him with verbal volleys from across the table, calling him variously, and I'm not going to repeat any of those words, insignificance, the only one that's not a curse word, and insane. Meanwhile, Kennedy, a prospective president of the United States, watched calmly. So he's just there watching people scream at each other at his press dinner. Here, it seems that Deckert seemed to sense the need for a new rhetorical tack and let rip a loud, prolonged fart while yelling as if to underscore his point, "I'm farting." The room
Why? I just don't understand why.
These
like
are grown men.
Like, how much? Well, they said drunken, so I'm sure there's probably the alcohol's flowing and they're acting like children.
Gosh. The room, which included a handful of journalists as well as Kennedy's campaign manager, former Rep. Dennis Kucinich, was stunned, seemingly unsure about whether Deckert was farting at Hayden Guest personally or at the very notion of global warming.
Wow, this is weird.
This sentence just made the whole article. In parentheses, regrettably, we may assure readers that there was no room for doubt that the climate changed in the immediate environs at the dinner table.
Yeah, everybody left.
Ugh, gross. The candidate maintained a steady composure in the face of the crisis.
What do you do? Like, if you start like scolding them, you'd come out as like, aggressive. But if you, that's weird.
Just crazy. Page 6 reporter Flo Anthony attempted to change the subject, telling Kennedy how much she admired his father, the tragic Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy. Page 6 article writer who realized she's going to have to write this down. I got to change the subject.
She rolls her eyes and is like, why did they send me tonight?
Sadly, and somewhat inexplicably, another guest brought things back round to climate change, leading to another round of yelling. We are told that Deschert and Hayden Guest have known each other for 3 decades. When asked to comment about his outburst the next day, Deschert told us, "I apologize for using my flatulence as a medium for public commentary in your presence." And then he also asked us to refer to him as a gallivanting boulevardier. Boulevardier?
Wow.
Yeah, right. Or a beer-fueled sex rocket. He told a reporter, "Call me the beer-fueled sex rocket."
We'll just call you an alcoholic and walk away.
Gosh, right?
That's ridiculous.
Like, old man gets drunk at
That's just gross.
And to me, it just highlights or underscores the fact that this is just not a real campaign.
Oh my gosh, it's like a drunk college party. A bunch of people yelling at each other and farting. Like, what the heck? That's ridiculous.
Apparently, and this guy, they have written for... It's like they've known each other for a long time. This is a quote. He said, "We've had spats before about this and that. We're not quite the same politically, but it doesn't affect the relationship in the UK. But I thought it was pretty ridiculous." The article wraps up and it says, "But during the verbal battle, Hayden Guest told Deschert, 'I'm done with you.' By the next day, though, the stink seemed to have dissipated. 'I didn't mean it,' Hayden Guest said. 'I'm sure we will talk again.'"
Talk or yell or fart something.
At each other. "I'm farting."
Ooh, why would you? Yeah, that's beyond me. That's very strange.
I just farting is one of those things, especially now that we have little boys and we're raising them. It's like, okay, it's a natural body function. It's not polite to draw attention to it, but it's also not polite to fart on each other. That is something I've had to teach our children, is like, you don't fart on someone.
Well, I mean, there's just be classier than that. Like, how low do you have to sink?
It's pretty, I mean, that I just, like, I have another story, but that might be the only one I need. Like,
oh my gosh, that's so weird.
A press dinner for real live reporters where they're screaming about climate change hoaxes and, or arguing about
perceived
whether it's a hoax.
Climate change hoaxes.
It's a hoax. No, it's not. I'm farting at you. Like, I'm farting at the idea of climate change. I can't even handle it.
Wow. Mature argument right there.
So anyways.
Yeah, mine is nowhere near. My second story is nowhere near that caliber. It's short. It's a massive 122-pound catfish caught in Tennessee breaks the state record.
Nice.
So a man from Big Rock, Tennessee broke his own blue catfish record.
Yes. So he's good at catching giant fish.
So he broke the record for the second time. His name is Micah Burkhart. He's a 44-year-old man from Tennessee.
Nice.
He beat his own record when he caught a catfish that weighed 122 pounds and 3 ounces. It measured 57.5 inches in length and 42.5 inches in girth. It's huge. He caught it at the Barkley Reservoir in Stewart County on July 13. This fish is really big.
Well, I got to imagine 120 pounds. That's
it says that.
Like, there are a lot of people that are that big.
He caught his first record, or he caught this record. Oh, sorry. He caught the actual fish on the 28th, but it wasn't certified and made official until July 13. So the situation has been so amazing, said Burkhart. It's hard to put into words how I feel. He said in a Facebook message. So it says his previous record had been a fish that he caught back in September 2022, where he caught a 118-pound blue catfish at the same place.
Wow. So barely, just a little bit smaller.
He beat it by, this time around his fish was 4 pounds and 3 ounces more.
Wow.
But if he released both the catfish, apparently a normal sized...
Probably the same catfish, just the next year it's a little bit bigger.
Some weight. I'm sure they tagged it or something. So it says blue catfish are coastal and inland and can be found throughout the United States. Usually they live between 9 and 10 years, but some have lived up to 25 years. Average size is less than 2 feet, but some can grow up to 5 feet.
That was what I was going to ask. Is it like a goldfish scenario where they just keep growing?
You wonder what they're putting in the reservoir if the fish are growing up to that big.
It's so big.
Like it says normally 2 feet. Like, and that makes sense. Like a 2 foot, I could believe that. Like a 2 foot catfish. But some can grow up to 5 feet. This fish is huge. Like 122 pounds. That
5 foot. I mean, that's like I said, as big as a person. That's like. Wow.
So he released it after they weighed it and he measured it and everything.
Yeah, you get your credit. And then I like that they just give it back.
They're a fun game fish, but you don't eat them, apparently. So blue catfish are a popular game fish because they're strong, savvy, and a good challenge. But so this man had caught a 122-pound one, but apparently the largest one ever recorded was actually 143 pounds. And it was caught in North Carolina in 2011 in a reservoir. What is in these reservoirs?
Yeah, my gosh. That's big fish.
It makes me...
Maybe it's just because there's just nothing that eats them. You know, if there's no predators in the reservoir or whatever, they just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
No, thank you. I don't want to...
Big, giant, stinky catfish.
I mean, oh my gosh, the fish is huge. Like this
snap
guy...
a fishing pole.
I mean, this guy carrying it, it looks huge.
Wow.
Like, can you imagine? 122
Take multiple
pounds.
People to haul that out.
Yeah, it's huge. Anyways, people breaking their own records out there in Tennessee.
Tennessee catfish.
Ugh.
Yeah, but if they're not good for eating, I mean, that makes sense.
It's clearly it's just like sport fishing. It's not actually like, anyways.
Yeah. All right, so my second story is real quick. And again, it's more animal news because this is what we love. Sea otter keeps stealing surfboards and authorities are on her tail.
I heard about this.
I just think it's so funny.
Otter.
So they've named it Otter 841, which is weird. A furry pirate with a surfboard fixation is on the lam in California. California sea otter with a penchant for snatching surfboards is on the lam after wildlife officials determined she is putting herself and humans at risk.
How big is she?
Pretty big. I mean, just a normal otter. She's 5 years old. It's an adult female otter. Approaches surfers, kayakers, and paddleboards off the coast. But she's gotten bolder and bolder. And there are videos of the otter. And it like climbs on the surfboard and then lunges at the surfer.
Oh.
And like chases him away when he tries to get back on. And then she rips, like, you can see her like bite chunks out of the side of the board. You know? And it's just fearsome, you know, like you get
It's not typical behavior that you'd see from otters. I guess sea otters are often different than...
I don't really know, but I'm trying to figure out why would she want a surfboard? Like what's that good
Maybe
for?
she's just protecting her habitat.
So they're trying to capture and rehome her. They want to capture her, move her somewhere else, let her go there where she's not going to be a problem for the surfers. The animal is tagged with a radio transmitter. Repeated aggressive behavior means that she will be placed in captivity. They're not looking at killing the otter as an option. They want to emphasize euthanasia is not under consideration. So they're not trying to kill the otter, even though it's being a pest to people. There's kind of a lot of different pictures of the otter on surfboards because it keeps doing this.
Yeah, it's repeating.
Well, what do you do if an animal takes your surfboard? You take a picture of it and then leave? I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is weird. It's kind of reminds me of those orca whales that have been attacking ships and boats and stuff lately, pods of them. Because
like nature is really getting sick of humans.
It's like, stop coming into my territory.
It's fun and entertaining, but it's not going to be fun and entertaining if it escalates further, which is valid, I suppose. Oh, interesting. The mother had her own share of human trouble. That otter, known as 723. Can we not give them names? I
know it's kind of like sounds like Lilo and Stitch, where they're naming them like alien test subjects.
She was rescued was a rescued orphan rehabilitated at Monterey Bay Aquarium. Staff members had to go to great lengths to ensure that otters are prepared. They want to prepare otters for release. And they don't want to associate anything positive with humans because otherwise the otters will act incorrectly around humans. Apparently, if you feed otters, it's either their best guess is that the reason she's doing this is hormonal aggression or somebody fed her. If you feed the otter and then she's like, all right, this is a source of food. I'm going to jump up here until you give me food.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, so A41 was weaned and prepared and released in the wild. But unlike her mother, she started approaching humans around a year later.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting.
Or it could just be something genetics of that
particular otter.
Well, yeah, if her mother... That's strange.
It's just bizarre. I thought it was interesting, though. All right. Are you ready for Sponsor Your Life?
Yeah. All right. So the other day, I guess, we went to this cute little blueberry farm with the boys. We moved to Freeland back in March, and we like to go fruit picking in the summertime.
We do.
And everything. So we found this cute little blueberry farm, actually, that's in Freeland. And we decided to check it out. It was like 15 minutes away. So we took the boys yesterday, and we went and picked blueberries. And it was a super cute little place. Very clean, very well run, very organized. Yeah, I thought it was a really nice place. They were actually picking quite a few different varieties. And it was like, I don't know, it just was very well kept. And
it was clean.
It was good.
Like you said, super organized. And I really enjoyed that. It was really cool. And it seemed kind of family owned and operated.
It did, yeah. It seemed like a family farm type of place. They had a big, huge field. They had a really nice clean barn area where you pick your, buckets up and you pay and everything. And they also had like a cute little used book section that you could check out. They had really nice benches. They had a picnic area with tire swings and picnic tables and, those wooden bench swings. And it was a nice place. I'd go back there again.
I mean, there were a lot of
families there. Yep. A lot of people picking. It was a good day for it. It wasn't hot.
It was perfect.
It was breezy and in the 70s.
We've been picking on some hot days.
You blueberry pick in July, it's always going to be hot.
Yeah, that's when they bloom, and that's when it's super hot.
But it was a nice day. It was a fun little place, and yeah, I'd go back there again. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun. The boys had a great time. I had a really fun time because you were kind of like you were the actual picker. And
yeah, there's always one of us that has to be the actual picker, and one of us that has to carry Asher or / the youngest child, and direct the other children because. Yeah, Amos and Ezra were just they didn't even have buckets. They were just walking and eating their weight in blueberries along the way.
Was thrilled. He was having the time of his life. He was like, "Look, I can just pull it right off the thing and eat it." And it took him a little bit of guesswork to realize that the green ones are gross. They're not ready to be eaten.
And the ones on the ground maybe don't taste the best.
That one, I'm not sure he learned that lesson.
He did not. Eventually, he still sat down and just picked up the blueberries on the ground.
He was all about it. He's like, "Well, what? These are free and they're right here on the ground. I don't even have to pick them." Yeah. But there was literally like a good 10-minute stretch where I just stood next to a bush with him and he just picked one and ate it and then picked another one and ate it. And it just like he was having a great time.
It was a good little day.
It was so much fun. It was great. Very cool.
How about you?
You know what? Okay, so this sounds kind of silly, but it's like recently we're recording in the morning, so I think you can probably hear it. It's like we're a little slower and a little waking up and whatnot. But I'm looking out the window here, and I love rocking chairs. And we had always talked about how we wanted rocking chairs on the porch. And so when we moved here, we actually got a couple of rocking chairs that are out on our porch. And we actually have one in our sunroom as well. And like outdoor furniture, kind of a rocking chair. And I love rocking chairs. They're just so much fun. And they're just like the best way to relax is just to chill in a little wooden chair that you can go back and forth. We've got little ones for the boys. They love them.
They do.
I don't know. It's silly and it's dumb, but like rocking chairs are awesome. And that's pumping up my life. That's sponsoring my life right now.
Pumping up your life. Okay.
I am
it's fun
about them.
That's good.
All right. So now it is time for a recurring segment. We've done this a bunch of times called Man Shrek Environmental Stewardship Strategies, Solutions, something. MESS, because we got to talk about this mess. Basically, I just wanted to talk about the environment because there's been so much stuff. I was thinking about like, all right, what are we going to talk about this week? And I opened up my phone and it was like, I think I went to the AP app or BBC or something. And like the top 4 articles, they were all about climate change and global warming and all this kind of stuff. And then there was some other stories that I heard that were so interesting. So first, I just wanted to talk about a couple of things. Number one, it's just so stinking hot everywhere right now.
It is.
And the numbers are crazy and we're hitting really, really high records and like, oh my gosh, it's the hottest it's ever been and stuff. Actually, not so much where we are right now. It's been nice for us, but on the news and stuff, you see a lot of that. And so that's really messing with stuff. There's lots of wildfires. We've had lots of air warnings. And
we had really poor air quality here in this month of July.
Yeah, and I think it's on people's minds, you know? But then the other thing I wanted to point out is something that's interesting is that in the last like 20 years or so, we have really shifted away from the words global warming and we've used more the words climate change. And actually that was referenced in a book. And I always love to bring this up because Michael Crichton, who actually passed away a long time ago, this is the guy who wrote the books like Jurassic Park. And he has a talent for making up really crazy fictitious worlds that are based on almost science. It's like Jurassic World. It's like, well, if you take the things that are real, stretch it a little bit, you can get some cool fictional premises.
Right.
And he wrote a book called State of Fear. And it's about eco-terrorists who are trying to like milk the system for money. So they're trying to create ecological disasters. Then they point to them and say, oh no, the world's coming apart. Give us money. And it's a huge mess, but they actually reference the fact that, yeah, we have to stop using the words global warming because it doesn't work. If, you know, every winter people start to think, well, maybe we could use a little global warming. I like, you know, they make jokes about, like, well, where's that global warming? It's so cold now. And so they shifted to, and this book was written over like 20 years ago. And it's a fascinating thing. And the book is not environmental science. It's just the book is more about how we need nuanced conversation and to seek real answers. And I've always appreciated that. I gave it to a friend of mine one time and he's like, what, so you don't believe in global warming? I was like, well, that's not what I said. I think there is evidence that we are having a negative effect on the environment, but I think the solutions are less extreme, you know, because I think if you go extreme with your solutions, people won't do it. But if you go normal and just go for like small changes to people's lives and stuff. So then the third thing I wanted to bring up is actually a story. And this is something that irks me so bad about this climate change stuff. And I think I actually told you about this story.
Oh, okay.
Spanish climate minister flies on a private jet to an eco conference, gets out of a limo 100 yards before the venue to ride a bike in front of the cameras. I mean, that just says it all right there.
Yeah. Let's talk about how bad it is to fly in private jets for the environment in general. Like,
they hold these massive conferences and all the heads of states fly in their jets to the conference. Then they get in a limo.
The same people who are railing on everybody and talking about how you need to carpool and use electric cars are flying in their independent jets.
And it just, I find it, the hypocrisy of it really embarrassing.
It is.
And it's like, well, and they always try to explain it, or they like, the one that really gets me is like, I fly my private jet, so then I donate enough money to an environmental organization to make it carbon
the idea is that
neutral.
you just throw money at something because that'll make your problems go away. It's easier than actually changing something.
Yep. I don't have to be good for the environment because I give enough money to environmental groups to make it okay, and that just drives me bonkers. Like,
it's terrible.
So I was thinking, like, actually in the last couple of weeks, even like during the summer, we have made a few changes around the house to try and help, and it's also a financial benefit. But I was just thinking, like, let's talk about small things that we can actually do to help the environment, because it's such a potentially politically charged conversation. It doesn't have to be. It's like, hey, what can we do that's better for the environment and better for the wallet? And so we've come up with some cool stuff that we've done around the house that I really like. I don't know, do you want to talk about those?
I guess maybe you start, because I don't know what you're talking about.
The biggest one is the clothesline. I love it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
This is such an old-timey thing, but it's so good for the environment to not. So we have a really old dryer
that just stopped working this week, so it was timely that we've been drying it on the clothesline.
Well, and we had been using the clothesline for a long time before that, because it was like, this thing uses a ton of gas and a ton of electricity.
Oh, it's a gas-powered dryer, so yeah, it was just getting really expensive. So we put the clothesline up and started drying the clothes on the clothesline. And yeah. It does take longer. We've had some nice breezy days though, so the sunshine and the wind has been helping. But yeah, that has literally you
tracked it.
It was insane how much, for the month of, we got billed weird. I still have sketchy questions about consumers' energy, but end of March to the second week of May was the billing period,
right?
And they were saying that our bill was like $400, and I'm thinking that can't be right. Yes, we used the heat a little bit in April, but not that much. I don't know, it was shocking. So yeah, so we went from $400 in those 40 days or whatever it was, the billing period they said, to from May to June, $140. And I was like, this seems, and that's gas and electricity together.
Yep.
So there were some questionable things happening, but I just think something about the gas powered dryer, it was just, a lot of energy wasted.
Was crazy. But I mean, that's a significant drop from $400 to $130 or whatever. And I was just like, holy smokes. And it also is better for the environment, right? It uses less gas, uses less electricity. And I just was like, this is great. And it's so simple. The clothesline is such an easy solution. And I know that people laugh about it. They're like, oh, that's how they used to do it way, way back. And I'm like,
I don't know though. I mean, if you're out in the country, a lot of people dry their clothes on a clothesline.
It's great. I would have chuckled at it a long time ago, but now I'm watching it unfold as a great alternative.
It really only works in our state though for a limited amount of time.
You couldn't do it in the winter.
It'll be too hard to do in the wintertime because the humidity levels will be weird and everything will just get crunchy. So
you don't want frozen clothes out there.
Yeah, it'll be tricky.
Yeah.
So.
But I was really pumped about that and just such a significant effect. But the other thing we did at the same time was we have this amazing dishwasher, right? And it's
supposedly amazing.
Well, it does better than the ones we've had in the past, but it eats up an enormous amount of electricity. It
claims that it's using less water than if you fill up the sink,
right.
But it's a 2.5 hour run cycle for this dishwasher, and our water bill was insane.
It was, and we were like, what can we do? And I was like, you know what? I scrape off and rinse our dishes anyways before we put them in the dishwasher. What if I just, fill up the sink and do soapy water and then do rinse water? And that's it. Just the 2 tubs of water, and I wash our dishes in that. And it is way better. So anyways, I just thought that those were really great practical reasons to... I just thought those were really great practical ways to help the environment and to dive into this, that both in a cost efficient way that is good for your wallet, but then also it just it doesn't have to be this big nasty conversation that it can be where you're farting at people at a big press dinner.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I had. Are you ready to send us out with the mom joke of the week?
Sure. All right. So did you hear about the guy who drank invisible ink?
No.
He's at the hospital waiting to be seen. I know. That's good. Painful.
I like it. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.